Hey y'all, welcome to Good Chats. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was just trying to plug in everything and work out why my lighting's so bright tonight. But anyway, it is what it is. Hopefully I've even got my microphone on tonight. So welcome to Good Chats, or Good Cats, or Good Hats. I just thought I'd play with the thumbnail for a little while, just for something interesting to do. Welcome aboard. G'day Pete Donaldson, g'day Steve, g'day Nico. I'd like to just say there will be no cats in this live stream tonight. I'm sorry, that was misrepresentation and false advertising. And if you were looking forward to cats, well, you're out of luck. Oh, yo, Ree, how you doing? JK, welcome aboard. He'll make sure that I don't miss the microphone bit from time to time. And O'Malley Tours, the legend himself. Welcome aboard, sir. Welcome aboard to the lurkers as well, just in case you're wondering what this is. Whoops, I better plug in my computer before it runs out of battery. This is Good Chats, which is my live stream for Outdoors Type, and we'll talk about history. We'll talk a lot about trains. So if you like trains, well then you'll like this live stream. And we talk about history and all sorts of other things, and I tend to do previews and run things past the audience, and I always learn a lot more from all of you than I think I give out. So this is a really valuable stream for me, and welcome aboard if this is your first time, or if you're replaying it, give us a like, shout out in the comments, or pipe up in the live chat as well, because that's what this is about. JK is back in New South Wales, back in the bright lights of Hillston in western New South Wales. Go check it out sometime if you've got time. I hear it's a nice place. Max Hobby. For those who've been around for a really long time, it's been a really long time since we've heard from Max, and I was wondering what had happened to you, Max. So here you are, and welcome back aboard again, and hello to the UK represent contingent. Luke's Fishing, the Northern Australia contingent logs in for the evening. Welcome aboard. And JK got a chance to visit Hay train station. What did you think, JK? Did you have a wander around? Tell us a bit about that, mate. What's happening there? It's a pretty cool railway precinct out there. I did a video on it when we travelled through last year, and we were travelling through again in September. So, yeah, we'll be passing by Western New South Wales there, or more like shooting through Western New South Wales there. Excuse me. So tonight, I didn't have an awful lot of plans because it's July and it's really bloody cold. And it's just kind of that time of year where don't spend a lot of time thinking about doing this stuff. Plus, still recovering from the hand and a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah, July's been interesting. How's your July been? Is it freezing where you're at? I doubt it's freezing in Darwin. Luke's probably going to gloat that it's like 31 degrees or something. But and same with Max as well. You're probably experiencing some warm weather up there in the UK summer. I don't know why I say up there. It's just because it's kind of north, I suppose. That's great news, Max. Renationalisation of British Rail. That I guess was probably in the wings with the change of government there. So let's see what happens there. That'll be interesting to check out. Let us know if you've got any other news like that, everyone. Hay had the longest footy road trip of any Vic leave. Was at one point, Hay were they in the Victorian country football leagues? That's interesting. And by the way, talking about country football leagues, Andy, I returned all those books to the library on Saturday. So look them all up if you haven't already read them, of course, which I actually now presume you have, but yeah, look up all those footy digests and get them delivered to your local library and have a pour through that. I know that you've got probably more information than what's in these books, but I think you'll find them really interesting. I certainly found them interesting from the point of view of how they used railways to get around before there was cars and road trips. Oh God, 15 degrees up there in Darwin. That must have been freezing for you all. I don't think it even hit 15 degrees here in Adelaide today. So I was going to run through, as I usually do, I kind of scrape together some things, and this week's a little bit of a scrape together. I was going to go through the gallery I've got of images from the National Railway Museum of the Stirling North railway station, and then I was going to go into showing you a bit again about how I'm building a map animation for the beginning of my next video. So this is one of the things that I want my live stream to do. I don't really want to. You took photos of the other book at the libraries the other day. Took photos of the other books. It's a scan feature on the Notes app. Yeah, cool. All right, cool. Oh, you were there and you actually had a look at them. Excellent. That's great news. That we've been reading the same books, and boy, yeah, 5 of those books was a bloody heavy bundle to carry. 9 degrees out there at Mildura and drizzling. Yeah, it's been very wet this week all across. The WA contingent isn't here tonight to let us know what the weather's like in WA, although I presume that it's probably pretty similar to most of southern Australia at this point in time. Urgently required in UK, fabulous wages. Yeah, I know, right? Probably should move to the UK and become a train driver. That would be certainly be a change of career, that's for damn sure. And at this stage in time, I'm a photographer for an RV company. I do a lot of digital sort of marketing related stuff and graphic design related stuff, but I'm always looking for opportunities to practice those more and more, and I'm seeing I saw an interesting opportunity come up today, so I'm going to reach out to that one and just see what happens. Andy, do I follow New South Wales in the Rugby League? Yeah, look, if I had to follow one of the two, I'd follow New South Wales. And I kind of know how the game's going because my next door neighbour is a Blues fan, so I don't need to watch the football. All I've got to do is listen to the shouts coming from next door, or the oof sounds or something like that. I can actually tell if New South Wales is winning just by the noises coming from my next door neighbour. Yeah, it's a beautiful drive out there from Sunraysia up through western New South Wales there, Balranald and all that. I don't know, some people don't like that kind of country, but I think it's beautiful out there, particularly around sunset and sunrise and sunset. Amazing country out there around the Hay Plains. Who is watching the State of Origin game at the moment, and how's it going? By the sounds of my next door neighbour, New South Wales is currently ahead, so we'll see how we go with that one. So then I was going to do, I was getting to that, sorry, then I was going to do, whoops, I dropped everything. We'll figure that out later. I was going to show you a bit of a preview of how I'm building the map animation up. That's what I want to do with my stream as well. I don't really want to do sort of members videos. I don't want to stuff around with all the member stuff. And so that's what these live streams sort of, enable me to do. And the bonus is I can get some feedback live from some people whose opinion I value greatly, and that's you. Do you have a favourite area to drive? Tooleybuck is a nice place. Tooleybuck is our lunch stop on the way from Adelaide up to Coffs Harbour. It's a lunch stop on the first day. We've stopped at Tooleybuck for a quick bite to eat out of the esky or out of the car fridge or whatever for a good 10 or 20 years now at lunchtime. It's always about 1 o'clock. If we leave Adelaide about 5:30ish, we might be in Tooleybuck somewhere between 12 and 1, depending on what's happening, and it always seems to be a pretty dependable measure, and it's a cool old bridge there as well, and you can see the end of the Piangil railway line, which is a railway line in Victoria. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you for the update, JK, because as most Australians will know, the State of Origin is a very important game of football. And this is why we love having you on board, Max, too. Is because you're a guy who's basically probably travelled all of these historical trains that we talk about, and travelling from Hay to Roto by train, as you well know, is not possible anymore. I think still the interstate railway hurtles through Roto, but the other connections are long gone. Um, so I don't actually remember where the line from Hay started from. It was separate to the Rankin Springs line. I do know that, but you may well know now. And I obviously read this when I was at Hay, probably, but I've forgotten it for the time being. So do tell us. Um, no, I actually want to, Nico. I actually want a sticker that says something like that. Where the K is Tooleybuck. I think that would be a really cool sticker to put on my computer. Actually. Um, And I still remember Tooleybuck being in the ads in all the magazines and papers back in the day when South Australia didn't have any pokies and you had to travel to Tooleybuck. Um, now, I do have a favourite area to drive, Andy Munro, and that is pretty much anywhere out around the outback, like up the Barrier Highway, or some of the roads out in the Flinders. Once you get out past, geez, what is it? Hawker and stuff like that, and you start to get out to those long straight roads around Parachilna and Lee Creek and Maree and all those areas there. I love the Hay Plains. I just do tend to like places where you find yourself with a 360-degree flat horizon all around you. And I do like those drives where you can see curves coming in the road for miles away. I do really enjoy those where you can just put the car on cruise, and just kick back, and there's really no issues aside from the odd truck every now and then. And even when you're out there on the Hay Plain, you're doing 110, 115 or whatever, and you do come across a truck, or Barrier Highway for that matter. I really love those times where you can just swing out and just overtake because there's no traffic. You don't even need to skip a beat in cruise control, and just keep going on. Yeah, they've had a few good years out that way, so they are actually in themselves probably a bit green and cooler than a lot of areas. I did enjoy driving around the southeast, but the problem with my last drive down around the southeast is it rained the whole time, and the highways down the southeast appeared to me quite dangerous in heavy rain with all the depressions in the road and stuff like that. My car spent an awful lot of the time aquaplaning rather than actually driving, I reckon. um, Tooleybuck Menangatang, um, Tooleybuck Menangatang Saints. Oh, they've amalgamated. Menangatang would have to be probably my favourite town name in Australia. And as I've said, I do that drive often up to New South Wales, and my kids are sick to death of me. Saying Menangatang or just saying, here we go, yes, Dad, we know it's your favourite town. Can you stop saying it? um, Hay Plains at night time. I haven't actually done the Hay Plains at night time. I did the Barrier Highway at night time and I hit a roo both times. But I haven't actually done the Hay Plains at night time. Is that kind of the same kind of Australian native animal and feral animal zoo that the Barrier Highway becomes at night time? I haven't done it at night before. Yeah, I'm glad you said so. Maybe it was just me being precious or something, Andy. I thought, but yeah, no, they were really average after rain. So let's get to the stuff we were going to do. Oh, that's right. I've got a book of the week as well, but we'll get to that at the end. I had a gallery here somewhere. There we go. Oh, whoops! I forgot to put my face on top of it. So what do I do? There we go. Just flick that up there. Come on. Go the other way. There we go. So I got these images from Yeah, I bet, man, too many trucks. And I reckon the Eyre Peninsula would be a bit the same after some of the, especially the southern Eyre Peninsula after rain. Um, Trig Point. Um, I'd be interested to find out more about that. The Trig Point on the Hay Plain is so knowledgeable about geography. O'Malley, that's cool. So what we're looking at here is a collection of old photos from the National Railway Museum. Um, and so, oh hey Max, I've got your mess. I saw your message there. Does anyone remember the station codes used for dispatching goods by rail? I wonder if you could look that up somewhere. Um, I don't. Sorry, but that's what we're here for too. If anyone else knows or got any tips on where the leads might go for that, I reckon Kane from Kane's Trains might be a guy who knows that kind of thing. Well, knows somebody who does. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I try not to drive at night or drive very slowly at night out there, unless it's something like the Augusta Highway or something, which has generally been pretty good. Um, the station codes, you've got a full list. That's the kind of stuff that, yeah, that's awesome. Um, so, why do I use my hotkeys? Unfortunately, these photos that came from the National Railway Museum this time didn't actually come with dates on them, or not all of them came with dates on them. So I'm going to find it difficult. I'm going to be able to credit them, but I'm not going to be able to date most of them. So, and this is the station at Stirling North, up near Port Augusta through the years, back when it had station buildings. Obviously, there's basically nothing there today. And I'm going to explore that location further on one of the two trips that I've got coming up the next 2 Saturdays. I've got some early mornings ahead of me as I'm going to make my way up to Port Augusta and Quorn for the 2 weekends to do more scouting around and just generally hanging out and getting video to make the video that I've got in mind for the Pitchy Ritchie Railway. Okay, not Stirling North, but yeah, this one came up. I accidentally put it in the wrong folder. That's the Pitchy Ritchie railway crew dropping off rail to restore the rail, obviously down near Saltire. Loxton was Lox, Victor Harbour was VH. That back in the day, that would have been really important to get that right and for things to move quickly. You see those images of people transshipping goods across platforms, like at Tarawi, between the broad gauge and the narrow gauge, and all of that stuff would have been pretty important. I'm not sure, but I think this building at Stirling North, there might be remnants of that remaining. I know I did see from a distance on my last trip there a really boring looking building, and this is certainly a very boring looking building. So yeah, I do wonder if that's what's remaining. Certainly a bit more interesting with a train in front of it. Again, another photo of an exceptionally boring 1980s style building. Looking a bit better with the Flinders in the background. We're going back to the 80s, 60s again, I think, with this photo. I'm pretty sure I used it in my animation. I think I also used this one. This was a 1998 photo, I think, before the railway line got restored through to Port Augusta. Next time you go to Hay, go to Maud and have a beer at the pub. Interesting road. Why do you say that, O'Malley? Because Maud's like, what, about 7 to 10 k's off the road, and we're generally like just flying through, hanging on the edge of a knife kind of thing to try and get to bloody Parks or something in time. So see if we get some time up our sleeves on that trip. We'll definitely do that. So go back here. Go back here. You know, refuse to drive on due to safety. I don't think there's any road I'd refuse to drive on, but I think there's roads that I would avoid. But right off the top of my head, I'm trying to think. Roads that I would refuse to drive on. I don't know, has anyone else got any roads they refuse to drive on? I know my wife's got a lot of hang-ups about roads she would refuse to drive on. But I found myself on some pretty crazy roads sometimes and some interesting vehicles. And so I don't have a lot of hang-ups about where I'm going to go there. Certainly, we came back from the Flinders last time with that much mud on the car. I generally come back from the Flinders with a lot of mud on the car, and sometimes some mild regrets about roads that I've driven down. But no, I think South Australia's country roads have improved considerably over the years. People do complain bitterly about them, and the southeast roads are still a bit shit, to be honest, but they've definitely improved a lot in my lifetime. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but certainly, yeah, those have really improved a lot. Like the roads out in the Murray Mallee, as O'Malley will say too. I think those roads out there in the east and South Australia have improved a lot from what they were. G'day, Hunters Locomotives. Welcome aboard. Britannia Roundabout. Yeah, the Britannia Roundabout's okay, but my wife's got the same hang up. I think females have a problem with that roundabout. It's just a girl thing. I don't know. If there's any girls out there, let us know. Yeah. Oh no, I missed your message there, Max. No, they have done a great job, and that's why I'm doing this video as a bit of a tribute to them. South Road, you got to watch out for in the busy parts. I'd just avoid it because it's just so heavy traffic through there, and it's going to be years before they build the tunnels to solve that problem. Gorge Road, I think, is fun. I grew up around Gorge Road. When I got my license and all that kind of stuff, I was living up that way, and we used to have a thing called the 5-minute Gorge Road run. Cough. From Kangaroo Creek to the Weir in 5 minutes. Yeah. Think about that. Okay. Let's move on then to this video. So what I wanted to show you and run by you all was the start of adding graphics and music to the animated map to try and untangle, in a way, or try and put context to the role of the line through the Pitchy Ritchie Pass before I go into sort of my usual explore video. So let's go. The narrow gauge line from Port Augusta to Quorn through the Pitchy Ritchie Pass opened in 1879. Meanwhile, the broad gauge line moved north from Adelaide to Burra and was extended to Tarawi in 1880 and continued to Peterborough in 1881 as narrow gauge. In 1882, the line from Quorn passed through Hawker and reached Farina, then known as Government Gums, and became the Great Northern Railway. Quorn was connected to Adelaide in the same year when the Oreburn to Quorn section of the Tarawi to Pitchy Ritchie line opened. The Great Northern Railway reached as far as Oodnadatta by 1891 and stayed like this for nearly 40 years. The massive standard gauge transcontinental line linking Perth by rail to the rest of Australia reached Port Augusta in 1917, and now passengers could travel from Adelaide to Perth by changing trains at Tarawi and Port Augusta. G'day, Kane.
The line through the Pitchy Ritchie Pass became a critical link in the nation's railways. The legendary Garn begins in 1923 from Tarawi to Oodnadatta. The Great Northern Railway finally reached Alice Springs in 1929 and Quorn's heydays began. Quorn was essentially the geographical centre of the railways in Australia. Those heydays ended when the standard gauge line progressed south from Port Augusta and the broad gauge line progressed north from Adelaide, reaching Port Pirie in 1937. Quorn saw only local trains until World War II, during which up to 43 Alice-bound trains passed through a day, and its heydays briefly returned. Coal trains from Lee Creek began to rumble through from 1944 until about 1956, when the standard gauge line from Port Augusta to Maree opened and the Garn no longer called it Quorn. In the 60s, the narrow gauge link from Stirling North to Port Augusta was removed and coal trains through Quorn to Adelaide ended. The 70s saw the Hawker line close, signalling the end of regular traffic around Quorn. It also saw the upgrade of the Broken Hill line to standard gauge, which created break of gauge havoc across the northern narrow gauge lines, all of which met their demise by the late 80s. The line through the pass was effectively abandoned in 1956, and into the 60s the pass saw only the occasional transfer movement, and once the Saltire Bridge was damaged, the whole line fell into disrepair. In 1973, a movement was raised to save the line, and by 1974 the Pitchie Ritchie Preservation Society commenced operations to summit. In 1975 they'd made it to Pitchie Ritchie, and by 1978 the line had been rehabilitated to Woolshed Flat. In 1999 the line opened to Saltire and Stirling North, and by 2001 the narrow gauge line had finally been reinstated from Stirling North to Port Augusta. And that's how it remains today.
So, what did you think? Let's get some live feedback on that one. Is it too long? Is it too boring? I'm not going to start the video exactly on that, but I'm going to start and then segue into that. So hopefully the images are kind of keeping things moving a little bit. Oh, thanks, Kane. So that's the introduction, and what building that animation and doing the research and the timeline, and and obsessing over the graphics and the way everything moves and comes up in time, and all of and sort of researching the narration and stuff. What that does for me is help me get prepared for when I go out in the field. So it actually crystallizes a lot of things for me, and so I already understand a lot more about the location that I'm going to, and so I've put all that into that, and that's essentially part of my planning. I used to do these things at the end of the video, but then I don't know, a few videos back, I started to think about doing them beforehand, and it turned out to be a really valuable tool to put everything in context for me, and to make sure that I understood a little bit about what I was about to go and look at and explore a little bit more, rather than just being completely uninformed and just showing you what I was seeing there. And so thanks Kane too, because Kane shared with me a video he did ages ago on the Quorn back down to Peterborough railway line, which is ironic because I did one the other way recently, and Kane shared that with me, and he did that a few years ago. Go check out Kane's channel and just go back to the really old videos. You'll hate me, but go back to the old videos and go check out young Kane exploring in a much freer YouTube time. Oh, look, thanks everybody. If there is anything though that you would have thought you might have liked to have seen a bit more of, or thought I could probably tweak up a little bit, or if you think about it later, let me know. So yeah, that's going to put that video into context, and then I'm going to go on and do the usual thing that I'm doing. Hopefully next week. It's unlisted, Kane. Nice one. But yeah, and hopefully next week I'll start to explore more with the mixing, particularly after I've been up for another trip this weekend. I'll be able to explore more the mixing of the historical images with somewhat matched contemporary images or contemporary video, and so I'll have a lot of elements of the video set up this time by the time I get back from the final weekend up at the Pitchie Ritchie Railway Fest. So yeah, it'll probably won't be out until mid-August, but there you go. You get to see, I guess, the process bit by bit. And I won't bore you with actually doing it live or anything like that, because this animation stuff is kind of boring sometimes. I do get bored and wander off and want to do something else for a few days, so that's why it takes so long. No, that's good feedback, because I have struggled with the deviations from the Pitchie Ritchie pass route. I reckon if I get that kind of feedback now, Kane, that's great, and thanks also too, Nico. That's, if I get that feedback now, that is great, because I'm obviously in a situation where I can still work on all of these things and fix all of these things. So that's another reason why it's super important that I get this feedback. And I do agree with you. I do have a lot of trouble getting sound mixes right. I may not even end up using that tune. I thought it was a little bit a little bit sort of, I don't know, a bit sad. I don't know, but yeah, it's a tough thing to try and mix that, because sometimes the track will want to go up and go down. So thank you so much for pointing that out, because again, the only real feedback that I can really value is actually how other people are hearing it, whether it be through their headphones or whether it be through the speaker on the computer. I'm always going to hear things through the same speakers or headphones, and so sometimes I lose a bit of that perspective, and so it's really good and valuable to get all the feedback on this kind of thing. It's the first time I've done it this way, and might be a bit of a model for the channel moving forward when I'm making these larger and longer videos. O'Malley, that is so true. You think about all of these things, and then you get out on site, and it's entirely different. Or you do a lot of research on Google Maps or Google Earth, or you go to even Street View or something like that. But ultimately those images are taken at a point in time, and you go out there and things are just working differently. How you got there and the things that got in your way or helped you to get there sooner, and all of a sudden you're stretched for time and you have much less time than you thought, or this thing that you thought was there isn't, or you get caught up with something else. So yeah, it's research does help focus things a lot. But yeah, at the same time, particularly when you're a one-man band and you're not running a production company, right, which is it's strictly regimented, and a job. Yeah, when you're out there just doing it kind of for fun, it helps to focus, but at the same time, you've got to be able to deviate a little bit. So yeah, shit goes sideways when you get out in the field. Country Passenger Service, the 1960s. Yeah, I remember the story about SA Transport, or an SA Transport minister named Murray Hill. And 13 million certainly doesn't sound like a lot of money these days, does it? But Kane, that would have been handy if your car's old GPS showed rail lines that hadn't existed in 50 odd years or so. Then you wouldn't have to check all the other maps so often. Gilman Yard and the old Port Adelaide sightings. I do want to do a video on the Gilman Yard one day, but it's I think there's going to have to be something that I go back to the National Railway Museum for images of. There's a big Gilman Railway Yard community out there, but all the images of that line, historical images and that kind of stuff, are obviously still in copyright, so it takes a bit more negotiating, a bit more effort to get those kind of images and to put everything together. One thing I did hear, Kane, just on a note there, I read in a newspaper article today that the Labor government had said something about the Gilman, the Rosewater Loop, and one of the ministers said they're not going to let the council turn it into a bike track, and which was interesting to me because I did a video, and to all of you guys, because I did a video on this probably 18 months ago when I had read about the council's plan to turn it into a park and a bike track. And so here we are 18 months later, and the Labor government is saying, well, no, we're not going to let the council turn it into a bike track because we may need it one day. And they were putting that in terms of what's going to happen out at Outer Harbour or North Haven or whatever, out at Osborne, with submarines. And there's going to be a huge increase in the workforce out there at Osborne. And they've now, since introducing the Port Dock station, this frame of mind has started to sprout, that the railway might actually be a great way to get people from the northern suburbs and the eastern suburbs of Adelaide more quickly to Osborne. So interesting things, interesting times ahead. So council says, yes, make a bike track. State government says, nah, hold up. And maybe that's what will end up happening. But I guess they are. If they're going to reinstate passenger rail, it's going to need to be done properly. So yeah, it's a little hard to see how they're going to fit that down there in some ways. But yeah, there you go. Maybe I should go out and do videos of lines that are set to be ripped up more often, because then they just don't rip them up. Like I did a video of the Overland a couple of years ago, and one of the themes of that video was the Overland is on its last legs and looks set to close soon. And of course, here we are, 2-3 years later, and the bloody thing's still going. So if there's any other sort of railway lines that are set to close that people want me to go out and make a video of, then please invite me out there, because that seems to reduce the likelihood of the railway line actually closing. Not based on any serious research. So we'll go to Book of the Week. Am I still? No, I'm not still in small screen. Look, Book of the Week. I didn't have much time to find a Book of the Week, so I haven't done one of these yet, I don't think. Catchpoint. And for those of you who know, this is the periodical publication of the National Railway Museum. And to be honest, like the Railway Museum membership, I don't know, can't remember how much it costs, but you get 6 of these a year. Anyone remember how much it costs? It costs money. But whatever it is, I think it's $70 or $80 right off the top of my head. It's worth it for this book. On the 29th, there's so many changes going on, and this is kind of the book, right, which actually keeps up with all that. They actually do. Bob Sampson writes a lot of words in the beginning about things like the Port Dock railway station, tram developments, upgrades to regional rail, and all of that kind of thing. There's a lot of images. They talk about general operations and stuff. And they talk about in this edition, they talk about Die High, for those of you who know, at the Manor Hill pub, and the collection of stuff that she's got there at the Manor Hill pub. Do stop in and have a look if she's open when you go past. Pretty awesome, very welcoming lady. I certainly enjoyed my visit there. But there is a lot of stuff in this book which is really relevant to people who do follow railways, the railway scene, and railway history, and you never know, maybe one day you might see one of my photos on the cover, who knows. But I don't really do the train photo thing much, so that may never happen, but you never know. Subscribe to the National Railway Museum. They have a really good model about subscribing, or membership. And they'll just send you these, and you can get them for free, and you don't have to do much. What was interesting when I was up at the Pitchy Ritchie Railway on the tour, I seemed to get a whiff of a suggestion that membership to the Pitchy Ritchie Railway sort of involves, they really want all their members to get involved. And I sort of thought, I don't know if that's the model, maybe somebody else knows, but I think also they should probably pursue a model a bit like the National Railway Museum and other railway museums, where people can just pile in and become members and not necessarily have to do anything, and just do it for the financial support. That's the main reason I do it. I kind of wouldn't I wouldn't even care if they sent me Catchpoint. I just think they deserve the money to keep doing what they do. Yeah, I know. Australia is still struggling with the very idea of nuclear power at the moment, let alone nuclear waste trains. God, that'll blow some heads off around here, that's for sure. App or link to Google Earth. Hey, JK, so if you have Google Earth, you need to download a specific file that will operate within Google Earth. So Google Earth is now, don't think it works on mobile though, to be honest with you. I've only ever used it on desktop. I'm pretty sure I've never tried to use Google Earth or Hairy Legs Tracks within Google Earth on my mobile. So I can't, speak for that. I probably wouldn't anyway, because it's just a tiny little screen and a big map. That's really good. That's really good information. Thanks, Kane. Yeah, that mirrors sort of the impression I was getting. Was that I was just like, maybe they should just look at just opening up membership to everyone. Even Max Hobby could join in the UK, because we just want to support and have a membership number as recognition of that support, even if we don't intend to give real life support. But over the years of being a member, that may even finally break down to going out and giving physical support. So yeah. if anyone interested, they're now 2 points apiece. God, rugby, can they just hurry up and score a try? Seriously. Google. Do I use Google Maps on the travels? Well, I use Google Maps obviously in the car these days, and I use Google Earth to do those animations. And Google Maps, yeah, I use them, I guess you could say, as much as anyone else would, looking down on them on their phone. And sometimes I'll be able to hook into the satellite view, which will give me sometimes a top-down impression of where an old rail formation used to be, or an old yard used to be. Sometimes you're standing out there in the middle of nowhere on the side of a road somewhere, and all you can see is sort of farmland, really, or long grass. And so sometimes having that satellite view from Google Maps or Google Earth will sort of help me locate where I'm at in relation to, a long gone railway siding or something like that, which you just wouldn't see from the ground because you can't see all the fence lines or all the different, levels that might be just under the line of the grass or something like that. Oh, g'day Kingsley, welcome aboard. Welcome to the WA contingent. I have come to the end of all the things that I had planned. So unless somebody wants to throw something into the mix, we have been going now for 45 minutes or a bit less, which is a lot longer than I thought I'd last tonight, to be honest with you. I've got both of them up. Let's just get rid of that one and transition over to that. So, good. Finding out, sports grounds and cricket pitches. Google Maps can be great. Try this link, trust me. But if you haven't already, and I'll add it in again to this one, it's called Hairy Legs Tracks. It's a .kmz file. You download it to your computer, then you open Google Earth, and then in Google Earth you go File, Open, find this KMZ file, open it, and Bob's your uncle. You've got the whole map going on thing. Thank you to everyone for being such good cats tonight. I really appreciate everyone coming on board. Who knows what'll come up for next week's title? Good bats? I don't know. Good rats? There's so many words that I can play with. Yeah. Thanks for being first in the taxi, Pete. Appreciate you coming on board. Steve Klink, stalwart, staunch. Is the word. Thanks for coming on board, mate. Nico, welcome aboard again. Thank you. Andy Munro, shouts out to the southeast. I think that's where you are anyway. And if you haven't already, everybody go check out Munro Jumpers on Instagram. Or Andy, if you could just chime up what your socials are again in the chat, just let us know. He is probably a little bit more painstaking and obsessive about his history, but with country football. And there's always something to learn about culture and society and football jumpers over on his socials. O'Malley Tours, thank you for coming on board. Bro, thanks for coming on board. JK, back there in New South Wales, thanks for coming on board. Hilston is much enriched by your presence. Max Hobby, we've been much enriched by your presence again this week. Thanks for coming back on board, mate. Really great to hear from you. Luke's Fishing, enjoy the far north. Don't get bitten by a croc. Thank you for coming on board again. We had, who else did we have come on board? We had Kane's Trains coming in late. Thank you for dropping by and adding the 2 cents there. You've always got interesting things to add to the stream, mate. Thank you. And Hunter's Locomotives. It's been a while, mate, for you too. So thanks for coming back on board. Now, I'm really sorry if I missed anybody as I quickly scrolled through there. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to the lurkers. Thanks to the replayers. Remind me of that next week, Max. The Munro Wiley's shock absorbers. Certainly doesn't ring a bell, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'll look it up if I remember to. Former Footy Grounds on Facebook. Have you changed the name of that? Is that why I'm having trouble remembering it? Am I going crazy? Um, Good chaps. Now, there's an idea. Thanks, Steve. Really appreciate it. Um, I'm looking forward to checking that out, Kane, after the chat. Yeah, one more time. This has been Good Chats. We do this every week at 8:15 p.m., whether you like it or not, and whether I like it or not. And sometimes it's actually good. See you next week.